Dr. Dwyer, I was wondering if you could just explain a bit. You spoke about the aggressive approach to closing schools right now when there's cases of suspected variants. When the variants do get out into the community and we find them in workplaces, how will that approach differ at that point? Will we look to close down businesses as well?
At the time we're speaking, we have had 3 cases of variant in workplaces, and one was closed, but the other were small outbreaks, so we did not have, it wasn't necessary to close the workplace. So it is the same approach, and our teams do the analysis. It is the same as what we're doing for school. So when we have a first case, we do the more intensive tracing, contacts that were categorized as low risk are categorized as moderate risk. So we isolate more person, we do mass screening more extensively, and if necessary, during the period that we do those mass screening, we may have to close the school if we're not sure the extent of the contacts that were in place, that were concerned. But we do not necessarily close automatically the school or the workplace. It depends on the extent of the number of contacts that are implicated.
And I understand it would be a provincial decision, but given that Montreal is one of the hardest hit areas, and you mentioned that we see that it's in schools that the variants are spreading, have there been any conversations from your end about increasing measures in schools to stop that spread?
Yes. And one thing that is important to say, and it is at the international level in the guidelines, even though we see variants, there is no recommendation to close school, because we know that the impacts would be really important for the development of our youth. But we have been talking about measures that could be added in school, protective equipment that could be worn, especially for primary school. And we see that the outbreaks that we have, not only for variants, currently it's more than 3/4 of our outbreaks that are in the primary school. So we think that we could do some reinforcement, and maybe after spring break we will have some news around new measures.